Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to do a question and answer video. Um, let's see, by the way, I like the way this turned out. This roof still got some blotches over here. I don't know how the heck that happened. I'm going to have to fix it. So some of my questions actually came from this roof. One fellow, I believe it was Kurt M, who makes quite a lot of comments on my videos, and thank you, Kurt. I really appreciate that. I've noticed he's quite active in the van community, makes comments on a lot of different Van Trello's channels, so that's awesome. Anyway, he said, wasn't that plywood, walnut plywood is expensive? And yes, it would be very expensive if I bought the whole sheet, probably $70 to $80. But I went to the leftovers section, and they had various odds and ends there, and they had this piece was about 5 inches longer than what I cut, not longer, wider, and only it was about 47 inches from here to the other edge. So I cut off like an inch, so it cost me 22 bucks. So I can deal with that. I mean, it would have been cheaper. My initial plan was to buy a sheet of birch and cut this off of that sheet and use the rest of it for other aspects of the van build, which is going to be happening later. However, they didn't have any in stock, and so they're going to have some probably next week. Another question I got was concern about the VOCs from the polyurethane, and it's low VOC, but you're right, it's not no VOC, it's not zero VOC, and there is a slight odor when I was using it. But compared to the stuff I used before, I mean, the stuff I used before, I put 2 coats on the floor, which is like 6 by 4. That's how big the piece was. And that floor stank for weeks. I mean, even cracked the window open, the passenger side window open about maybe 5 millimeters. And it was a strong odor for weeks. Whereas this stuff that I just used, I used it on the side cedar part, and I used it just yesterday on the top part. I'll have to show you what I'm doing to make a little cubby kind of cupboard situation up there. I used it there last night, and then of course I did a coat on this side, and I did 2 coats on the other side. And you know what? There's no odor. So it is a somewhat of a concern, but this stuff that I've been using is actually less odorous than regular latex paint. So I'm not that concerned. Now, breathing in the plywood particles when I was cutting it, that is a good point, and I should probably buy a mask or bandana or something. So that's a good point. I shouldn't be breathing that stuff in. So another viewer commented that instead of using walnut plywood for the top, I could have used a net. And that's true. That would be a good option. It does have a couple advantages. First of all, being a net, it would be obviously open, and so I'd get lots of airflow up there, which is good for reducing condensation and mold and everything else. Second thing is that it would be lighter, and even though this is just one small piece of wood, the concern is if you have, I mean, walnut is really heavy wood. Walnut's one of the denser woods you can get. So if I had a whole sheet of this stuff, it could add up to be quite heavy. And when you add it, I don't have a whole sheet, but if I did, but if you take one small piece and then you add other pieces that are heavy, eventually you're going to get a lot of weight, and then you're going to have, your miles per gallon fuel economy is going to go down, and it's going to be harder on the wear and tear of the vehicle, etc. So if possible, lightweight is better for sure. The negative against the netting would be sometimes I'm going to be driving people in here, like for example that I work with, And I don't really want them seeing every little bits and bobs that I have up there, my winter boots or whatever I might have up there. And it's like, oh, what do you got up here? There's all these interesting things. Well, I'm not really, I'm trying to be as private as I can within reason. And, I mean, already they're going to say, why the heck do you have this walnut thing up here? And so, you know, maybe I'm just going to have to spill the beans. I don't know. As time goes on, one thing I've noticed with van dwelling is, as time goes on, you care less and less about what people think. And it's just, I mean, that's my opinion. I seem to think that what other people's opinions are matters less to me about living in a van. So I guess it just becomes normalized and less of a big deal. Of course, they're probably going to see it as a big deal because to them it's a whole new concept that they haven't considered, or just like, why would you do that? Why would you live in a van? Well, Whole Foods, thanks for another lovely burrito. A weekly burrito has been eaten, and all is well. I don't know how that place stays open though, honestly. Their food prices are so expensive. Like the produce. I used to work in a produce store for a long time, in a grocery store, in the produce department, and I know that they're throwing a lot of that stuff out because no one's buying it. And to keep it looking as fresh as it does, that means they got to be throwing it out. So, I don't know. I hope they stay in business because I like their burritos, and they're a good price and very nutritious. Big tower being built. Little van being built. Here we have the upper shelf all finished. Well, mostly finished. I still need to put some polyurethane on the outside of it, but I already did the inside. And this was not easy to put up, I can tell you that. I like to screw everything on the inside. So I've already, as you can see, I screwed these. I didn't even glue this together. I just pushed them together and used some of that walnut plywood to kind of cinch them together. There you go. I think I'm going to have to add some kind of hardware to keep this shut though when I'm driving, so stuff doesn't fly out. I think it looks pretty good. So one last question I got was about if I have a roof vent. No, not yet, but it's coming. Next week I'm going to go to Point Roberts across the US-Canadian border. And I think all my stuff should be there, and I'm going to go pick it up. So you remember how in the summer I went across the border without a passport and all that jazz? I'm going to do it again. It's at this time I have a valid passport. And I'm going to do it all over again. But should be no problem. I'm going to take precautions. I'm going to empty the van out of any tools, and so that there's no concern about me doing work there or anything like that. And it's kind of just still, I mean, it's still a regular van with some cladding on the walls kind of a thing, so it's not really a camper van at this point. So I think I can get across without too much problem. I'm also going to make sure I have the invoices printed off beforehand, so that minimizes any chances of having problems, which I've had in the past. Yeah, so that's next week, and unfortunately we're supposed to get another Arctic blast of cold weather coming soon, like next week, where it's going to reach, they're predicting temperatures of -10 Celsius. So that's going to be cold, and of course I need to do that, to put the roof in, and obviously I have to be outside to do it. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I might just have to bundle up. Heated garage would be nice, but you know, can't always. It's not always going to be easy. So I'll have to do that because I need to put the roof vent in before I can put some of the cabinetry in. So that's a pressing need. And once the roof vent is in, if I have the roof vent in and my bed in, I can basically move into this thing. Because then I can, once the roof vent is in, that means I can bring my propane tank in with my heater and know that I'm not going to suffocate from no oxygen. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good night.